Well, welcome to Partners in Ministry. I'm your host, Dan Smith, and today I'll be talking with Robinson Rosenberg, who is the Executive Director and founder of Konnect Transit out of Smyrna, Georgia. So, welcome, Robinson. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Thanks so much for having me, Dan.
Oh, man, you bet. It has, can you believe it? It has been a year since we last visited.
Yeah, absolutely.
Time just flies. So to help everybody get kind of caught up about Konnect Transit, why don't you just give us a brief overview of the ministry, what it does, and who you're serving?
For sure. So once again, Dan, thank you so much for having me. And I had the privilege to do this interview with you last year. And so in our last conversation, we were, trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure it out in terms of, what it means to reach out to these families, with our nonprofit. And just to answer your question in terms of what we do. So we provide complimentary transportation to families who have loved ones who are incarcerated. Right now, specifically to the youth detention centers, right? So to the youth that are incarcerated at the detention centers as well too. And so again, that's our mission statement, and that's what we do, right? And so since that time, over the past year. We've seen a broader need, right? We've seen a broader need outside, not just, with those who are incarcerated, but also too, when it comes to when they do get out, post-incarceration, right? Visitation as far as going to see their probation officer, going to the courthouse as well too, right? They need to go to court. If they need to go to a job interview as well too. So we've seen those needs as well too. And so we looked at it to where part of our mission statement is all about our goal is to reduce recidivism, right? And so when these youths get out, what's some things can we do to help them to reduce recidivism? So if we can help them to stay out, by going to see a probation officer, by going to court, by going to get to their job interview, we're gonna try to provide those services as well too. So since our last conversation, we've expanded our services to do that, to provide transportation to those areas as well too, and it's been great. It's been really, 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 really good. It's been an awesome year so far.
Well, what kind of feedback are you getting from either the families or the person that's been incarcerated that's taken advantage of the service? What kind of feedback are they giving to you about your ministry and what you're doing?
Yeah, great feedback. Great feedback. So, and what I mean by that is that because of the fact that we've taken this holistic approach, not just the visitation to the institutions itself, but this whole a holistic approach to where it's like, okay, even when I get out and I have challenges to go see my probation officer and stuff like that, I have you guys as a resource. So I'll give you an example. We had a writer, right? This young lady, her sister is incarcerated. And so I took her to the institution to go see her sister. And then 3 weeks later, her sister had her first appearance in court, 3 weeks later. And so she was able to contact me, and then I was able to take her to the courthouse for her to go see her sister. So by her sister being able to see her on a Saturday, right? And this same young woman who's incarcerated, the unfortunate part is that she's 17 years old. She's 17 years old. When she was incarcerated, she was 7 months pregnant. When she was incarcerated, she literally had her baby while she was incarcerated, right? Her 19-year-old sister took her to see her daughter for the first time.
Wow.
And then going to court was a big deal for her. It was a huge deal for her to go to court because she also needed to display family support. So we were able to bridge that gap, right? As far as a young lady who has not seen her daughter in almost a year. And then because of Konnect Transit, we're able to, provide that transportation to her family to where her sister was present along with her grandmother, and they was able to get that visitation as well too. So so the feedback was just great because of the fact that they had transportation issues, right? And we were able to bridge that gap for them.
Yeah. I am constantly amazed at how important logistical ministries are when it comes to just some of the basic things that like transportation, yard work, helping out with moving, snow, any of these kind of things that we think are just kind of insignificant, but they open the door to amazing opportunities, don't they?
Absolutely, for sure, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting because to that point, those are the things that could be overlooked as a small thing, but it's a big deal, right? Like, we talked about yard work. I did not realize how much transportation is such a big need, especially when we're talking about families to where they're literally living below the poverty line. And not everybody have a car, right? Not everybody has the affordable means to pay for an Uber. A round trip could cost 60 to 70 bucks depending where you live here in Atlanta, to where the transit system is not something that's similar to New York, right? You need a vehicle as well too. So as minute as it may look, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, too. So,
Well, and the other thing that's so impressive about what you do is it's not only the fact that you get them there and take them back, but how many
right,
times is a taxi free of charge going to wait there for a half hour, 45 minutes, or an hour
right.
for you to actually do the visit and then take you back? Usually one person's going to take you there and then somebody completely different is going to pick you up and take you back.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
incredibly unique.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So that's the part too, right? Is that it's the ministry is happening. The ministry is happening while we're in the car together, right? Because this is not an Uber service. This is not a taxi to where you get in the car
Right.
and I have music playing in the background until you get to your destination. I drop you off. It's I know you feel a sense of anxiety. I know you feel a sense of, especially when they're going to court, right? This I wonder what's going to happen. It's the conversation that's happening. And of course, we gauge it, right? So where it's like, let me gauge it, let me allow the Holy Spirit to lead me if this person does want to speak, right? And if this person wants to be transparent and get open and talk about how they're feeling, we're able to, share the gospel with them, right? To share some words of encouragement. And I asked them, hey, I asked them, would you like for me to pray? Like right before I get there to their destination, do you mind if I pray with you? I'm a man of faith. If you don't want to, it's totally fine. So that whole experience, um, it's definitely ministry and it's the power of the Holy Spirit that's moving to bring glory to God, right? So I mean that's I think that's the sense of joy that I get outside of just the actual, driving to and from. It's the ministry part, while we're in the vehicles together.
Sure. Yeah. So give us an idea of typically about a year ago, how many people a month were you kind of serving and where are you now in terms of
Yeah,
the services
yeah,
that are already?
yeah. So right now we have we don't have too many people that's taking advantage of this service, only because of the fact that we have an ongoing partnership with the Marietta Probation Office right now. I originally had a meeting with them about a month ago, and they loved what we're doing, and it was like, hey, what we would like to do, we would like to do. This is what they told us. We want to give you our high priority, probationers, right?
Okay.
That's on the verge of if they miss another appointment, that they're going to go to jail, right? So they were like, we're going to give you at least 15. We're going to give you 15 contacts, and these are the folks that we would like to start with. So that's in the works right now to work with the Marietta, which is the county that I live in within Smyrna.
Yeah.
That part as far as making sure that that's part of what I mean as far as like reducing recidivism is that these guys, because of transportation issues, right? They'll now have the means to go see their probation their probation officer as well too because of what we're doing.
Sure.
And but to answer your question, there's a few rides that we're doing per month right now. We do have, we definitely do have a reoccurring ride with a particular family that we provide the services to. We also have a partnership with a nonprofit called the Four Corners Group, and what they do, they go to the actual institutions once a month to do ministry, to speak to those teens and everything like that too. And because of that partnership, we're able to get access to the institution and we're able to speak and to let the families know, what we do and the service we provide as well too.
Yeah, that's awesome. So in the last year, what have been some of your biggest challenges? What are some of the things that you've had to work through, and how have you seen God come through?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, um, I would say the biggest challenge for us last year is a couple of things. Number one, just lack of resources, because yes, this is great that we're able to provide this service, and we're able to provide this service, and provide the complimentary transportation. But ideally, what we're looking for right now is to get a van, right? We'd like to get a van, and that would be helpful because of the fact that God has also blessed us with some volunteers, right? Some volunteers that's willing to want to serve within the ministry as well. Outside of our staff, we have a handful of volunteers that want to help out and serve, and so I'm grateful for them. And I'm extremely grateful for the volunteers, but it is wear and tear on their own vehicles, you know.
Sure.
So ideally, getting a van would be great, right? To keep the momentum going, right? As far as a volunteer still being active, still being engaged, still be wanting to, provide these services. And then because of the fact that we've expanded our services, beyond the visitation to the institution, it'd be great to actually have a van to where we have access to go to the different places as far as the probation officers, their courthouses, and the institutions as well too. So I would say that, I would say us working on, trying to get a van either donated or just trying to, see what God does with that.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. If I'm interested in contributing on a monthly basis to Konnect Transit, do you kind of have a dollar figure in mind in terms of, like $25 would get somebody there and back, or 30, or
Yeah.
I mean, roughly what kind of a donation would you need to help cover the cost of one completed ride?
Yeah, yeah. So our our families, they live in various places, right, in Georgia, right? And again, we're not, Atlanta doesn't have the greatest transit system in comparison to your other major cities. So that would vary depending on the family. But if I have to give a rough estimate, I'll say about $50, right? I say about $50 will do the job. And that average is because of the fact that luckily within, the majority of these families, they're like in the inner city metropolitan areas of Atlanta, and in the institutions or the probation officers and the courthouses themselves, they're also, within Atlanta as well too. But you do have the outliers as far as families that might stay outside of Metro Atlanta. So that distance might be a little further out. But for the most part, with the families that we serve and that's been reaching out, they're more so in the Metro Atlanta area. So yeah, so I said $50 average, would be ideal.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm thinking a couple ways that people could help with the ministry right now that we've talked about. One, of course, is becoming a monthly donor of $50 a month to help cover the cost of one ride a month for somebody. The other one might be contacting you if you've got a van, access to a van that might help out with what you're doing.
Absolutely.
As well as being a volunteer driver. So it sounds like there's quite a few ways. One of the ways we always try to promote is becoming a prayer warrior. So what's one way that we could pray for to Konnect Transit this week?
Yeah. So number one, the partnership with the probation officers, that God will open that door, and then they'll be able to identify those probationers that's on the verge of being incarcerated, and we can come in there and bridge that gap and provide those services to them. And they go home to their families. They're not being incarcerated, right? So I would say that's number one as far as a partnership with the Marietta probation office, and that partnership, being established. Number two, we've since established, like I mentioned before, our partnership with the Four Corners Group, which is a nonprofit that actually has access to the institutions, and that's been going amazing. But yeah, that God will continue to bless that partnership to where, yes, we provide the transportation. They're doing their part as far as, actually bringing salvation, right, to those students who's incarcerated. and they help them get jobs when they get out, and just that holistic, approach to our partnership with the Four Corners Group, and God bless in that as well too. And last but not least, yes, that van, if God can bless us with a van and transportation, that'd be great as well.
Sure. Well, Robinson, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to visit with me today. It's been great just to reconnect. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Likewise, Dan. Thank you so much again. I really appreciate it.
Hey, if you've got any questions or if you'd like to learn more about Konnect Transit, you can see their contact information here on the screen. You can also find it in the show notes for this episode on our website or in the description of this YouTube video. If you'd like to support Konnect Transit financially, you can find links to do so both in the show notes as well as YouTube description. Finally, would you please consider sending an email of encouragement to Robinson and Konnect Transit this week? Let them know that you're praying for them and that you're thinking about them. So on behalf of Konnect Transit, Robinson Rosenberg, and Partners in Ministry, I want to thank you for joining me today. And until next time, let's get out there and serve as Christ serves.